You ever notice how pain doesn't need an invitation? It just shows up. It doesn't knock. It doesn't text first. It just walks right in like it pays rent. One minute you're fine. The next minute something happens and suddenly you're thinking, oh, okay, this is who I am now, this broken, tired version of myself. Pain doesn't care if you've got plans, if you're happy, or if you're finally starting to figure things out. It comes when it wants, stays as long as it likes, and leaves only when it's ready, kind of like the worst kind of guest, but one that teaches you more than all the nice ones ever could. The thing about pain is, it's the most honest part of being human. Everything else in life, the smiles, the filters, the good posture in public, it's all an act. Pain is real. It doesn't fake itself for anyone. You can see it in someone's eyes, even when they say they're fine. We spend so much of our lives pretending we're okay, when in reality, being human means being cracked somewhere inside. Everyone's got a story that hurts. Everyone's got a scar they don't talk about. And once you start realizing that, you stop feeling so alone. You start noticing it in people, the small pauses in conversation, the tired laugh, the way someone looks down when they say, it's all good. No, it's not all good, but it's okay. Because none of us are really fine. We're all just pretending not to fall apart. And maybe that's what's beautiful about pain. It reminds you that you're part of something bigger. You're not the only one trying to survive the chaos. When life hurts, it's like the universe's way of saying, congratulations, you're alive. Pain is the proof. You can't feel it if you're numb. You can't feel it if you're gone. That ache in your chest, that lump in your throat, that silent drive home after something breaks, that's life reminding you it's still there. It's the heartbeat of reality. Because when you strip everything else away, all the noise, all the distractions, what's left is this raw, unfiltered emotion that connects everyone. We all think our pain is special. We think no one else could possibly understand what we're going through. But pain, in its weird, cruel way, is the most universal thing there is. It doesn't care if you're rich or poor, young or old, if you've got 1 million followers or no one who calls you back. It's the great equalizer. Everyone gets their share. The details might change, but the feeling is the same. That emptiness, that confusion, that desperate, silent question, why me? And that's the moment you realize it's not just you. It's everyone. Everyone's fighting something they can't explain. Everyone's trying to carry a weight no one else can see. But here's the funny part. Once you stop running from pain, it stops chasing you. You can't outrun it. And the harder you try, the more it finds ways to corner you. You've got to turn around and face it. Look it in the eye and go, all right, I see you. What do you want to teach me? Because pain is a teacher. A cruel, unpredictable, often unfair teacher, but still a teacher. It's the one thing that forces you to slow down and notice what really matters. You don't learn much from comfort. You learn from the nights you couldn't sleep, the days you couldn't smile, the moments you thought you'd lost everything. Those are the ones that shape you. You start to see how pain connects people more than happiness ever does. You meet someone who's been through something and you just know. You don't even have to talk about it. There's this quiet understanding, a kind of unspoken respect. Because anyone who's walked through fire and made it out, still willing to love, still willing to laugh, that's strength, that's humanity. We're drawn to those people because they've seen the edge and they came back with a story. You ever notice how after something painful happens, life becomes strangely clearer? It's like you stop caring about the little things, the gossip, the opinions, the stupid things people argue about. None of it matters anymore. Pain burns away the fake parts of life. It makes you real. You start noticing who actually checks in on you. You see who disappears. You realize what's worth your time and what's not. Pain does that. It simplifies everything. It leaves you with only what's real. But it's not just about survival. There's something strangely creative about pain. It gives you this raw material, this mess of emotion and chaos, and dares you to make something out of it. Some people paint. Some people write. Some people just tell stories to get through it. And in a way, that's all any of us are doing, trying to turn our pain into something that makes sense, into something that maybe makes someone else feel a little less alone. And the truth is, no matter how much pain you go through, you never really forget it. You just learn to carry it differently. It becomes a part of you, not something to hide, but something to understand. It shapes how you see the world. It teaches you empathy, patience, perspective. You stop judging people so quickly because you start realizing how much everyone hides behind their smiles. Pain humbles you. It takes away your illusions about control. It teaches you that you can't fix everything and that maybe you're not supposed to. It's weird, But pain has this strange beauty in it because it doesn't let you lie to yourself. You can't pretend when you're in pain. You can't fake strength or happiness. Pain strips you down until all that's left is what's true. And sometimes that truth is ugly. Sometimes it's embarrassing. But it's real. And being real, being honest with yourself and with others, that's where connection starts. That's where you find people who see you not for your mask, but for who you really are. The most important thing is to not waste your pain. If you're going to hurt, make it count. Learn from it, grow from it, use it to understand yourself better. Because if you can turn your pain into something meaningful, into compassion, into creativity, into laughter, then it didn't win. You did. Pain doesn't get the last word unless you give it one. We all want a life without pain, but that's not life. That's fantasy. The real magic is learning how to live with pain and still find beauty in it, still find humor in it, still find reasons to smile. Because when you've been through something that hurts and you can still laugh, still love, still try, that's not weakness. That's power. That's freedom. Pain isn't the enemy. It's the reminder that you're still here, still feeling, still fighting. And sometimes that's enough. It's funny how everyone keeps saying that laughter is the best medicine, but nobody really believes it until they've got nothing else left. You don't go looking for laughter when life's good. You're too busy enjoying things that don't hurt. But when life hits you, when everything feels heavy, when you're sitting there wondering how the hell you got here, that's when laughter shows up like this strange miracle. It's small, it's unexpected, but it's enough to keep you breathing. You laugh not because it's funny, but because if you don't, you might break. The truth is, life never stops throwing punches. You can spend years building your world, your plans, your comfort zone, and in one moment, something happens that changes everything. You lose someone, you lose yourself, something falls apart. You can't predict it, you can't control it. But here's the strange part, you can always laugh through it. You can take the ugliest, darkest, most painful part of your life and twist it just a little, find that one absurd detail, that one stupid moment, and there it is, your body lets go. That laugh that escapes through tears, that half-choked giggle when nothing makes sense anymore, that's real medicine. Because laughter isn't about ignoring the pain, it's about surviving it. It's the one thing that lets you look at what's hurting you and say, you don't own me. You can cry all you want, and you should, but the second you can make a joke about what happened, even a small one, you've taken the first step back to being okay. It's power. Quiet, messy power. You're not pretending everything's fine. You're just saying, yeah, it sucks, but I'm still here. People think laughter and pain are opposites, but they're actually twins. They come from the same place inside you, that deep human place that feels too much. When you laugh hard enough, you cry. When you cry long enough, sometimes you start laughing. It's the body's way of balancing the chaos. When life overwhelms you, laughter is like the emergency exit. It doesn't erase the fire, but it gives you a breath of air. And the best part, it's free. You don't need a prescription, you don't need therapy hours, you don't even need a reason. You can laugh for no reason at all, and it'll still do something inside you. It releases something, softens something. It's like your soul taking a deep breath after being underwater too long. You laugh, and suddenly the pain loosens its grip just a bit. Not enough to disappear, it never really does, but enough to make the next step possible. You ever notice how when people are at funerals or hospitals, they end up laughing at something completely inappropriate? Like someone trips or someone says something weird in their grief, and suddenly everyone's laughing through tears. That's not disrespect, that's survival. That's the human spirit trying to say, we can't handle this, but we'll try. Because laughter is our way of processing the unbearable. It's our way of saying, life still has meaning, even when it hurts. The people who laugh the hardest usually aren't the ones with easy lives. They're the ones who've seen too much, felt too much, and still found a reason to smile. That kind of laughter isn't shallow, it's earned. It's built on heartbreak and healing and a stubborn refusal to give up. It's like, yeah, life kicked my ass, but I'm still laughing. That's not denial, that's courage. Because laughing through pain doesn't mean you don't care, it means you refuse to let it define you. And when you laugh, people around you start to heal too. There's something contagious about honest laughter. It spreads like light in a dark room. You tell a story about your pain and find the humor in it, and suddenly, everyone listening feels lighter. they see themselves in it. They remember their own struggles, and for a moment, they're not alone either. That's the quiet magic of laughter. It connects people without trying. It doesn't need to fix anything. It just says, hey, me too. You start realizing that laughter isn't just medicine, it's rebellion. It's your way of saying, you can hurt me, life, but you can't take my joy. It's resistance against despair. Every time you laugh at something painful, you're rewriting the story. You're taking control back. You're showing that no matter what happens, you can still find a spark of light in the darkness. And that's everything. Because the minute you can find humor in something, it loses its power over you. Think about kids. They fall, they cry for 2 seconds, then they're laughing again. They move on fast because they haven't learned yet that they're supposed to hold on to pain. We grow up and start collecting it like it's proof we've lived. But maybe the trick is to unlearn that. Maybe. We're supposed to fall, cry, laugh, and get back up over and over again. That's not childish, that's human. And sometimes laughter comes from the weirdest places. You could be in the middle of a bad breakup, or sitting in traffic after the worst day of your life, and something stupid happens, a song, a random memory, a bird flying into a window, and suddenly you laugh. And that small laugh carries something huge. It carries the reminder that life still has humor left in it. Even when it feels like everything's falling apart, the universe still throws you these little moments of absurdity, like it's whispering, don't take it all so seriously. People underestimate how powerful laughter really is. It's not just a reaction, it's therapy in disguise. When you laugh, you're releasing your body's tension, lowering your guard, and allowing joy, even microscopic joy, to come in. It resets your nervous system. It clears your mind. It makes space for hope to sneak back in. And what's wild is that laughter can exist right next to grief. You can be completely broken inside and still find something genuinely funny. And that moment, that fragile burst of laughter, that's where healing begins. It's not about pretending the pain is gone. It's about realizing that you can hold both sorrow and humor at the same time. You can be in pain and still laugh. You can be falling apart and still find something ridiculous about it. That's what makes humans incredible. We spend so much time trying to avoid pain, trying to stay comfortable. But comfort doesn't make you grow. Pain does. And laughter is how we survive the growing process. It's how we remind ourselves that we're still in control of our story, that no matter what life throws, we'll always have the ability to look at it and find something worth smiling about. It's not about laughing because everything's funny. It's about laughing because everything's temporary. The pain, the loss, the confusion, it all changes. Nothing stays forever. And sometimes laughter is the only way to remind yourself that this moment, no matter how dark, isn't the end. It's just a page in the story. So yeah, laughter is medicine, not the kind you take once and feel better, but the kind that keeps you alive while the wound heals. It's what gives you the strength to keep moving. Because when you can still laugh, you're still human, you're still fighting, and as long as you can do that, pain can never fully win. You know what's strange? The moment you start joking about your own pain, people look at you like you're broken, like you're cold or disconnected. They don't realize that's exactly the opposite of what's happening. Making jokes about pain isn't about pretending it didn't hurt, it's proof that it did. It means you've looked it right in the face, felt every ounce of it, and still found a way to stand up again. You. Turn it into something you can hold, something you can control, even if for a moment. Because when you make a joke about something that almost destroyed you, that's not denial, that's survival. People think humor and sadness can't exist together, but they do, all the time. In fact, that's where the best jokes are born, right in that thin line between what hurts and what heals. There's something powerful about laughing through tragedy, not because it's funny, but because it's real. Life doesn't stop being absurd just because you're going through hell. Sometimes the universe has this sick sense of timing, the kind where something ridiculous happens right when you're at your lowest, and all you can do is laugh. It's almost insulting, but it's also freeing. You realize the world doesn't stop for anyone's pain, and somehow that makes you feel a little less trapped in it. When you start turning pain into humor, it's not that you're ignoring it. You're just refusing to let it control the story. Pain loves silence. It grows in dark corners. The more you hide it, the stronger it gets. But when you drag it out into the light, when you name it, mock it, laugh at it, it starts to shrink. It loses its mystery. It stops being this giant, shadowy thing and becomes just another weird, messed up part of life. You strip it of its power every time you make people laugh about it. Because laughter turns something unbearable into something you can carry. And let's be honest, there's something deeply human about making jokes out of pain. It's how we cope when the world doesn't make sense. You think of soldiers joking in trenches, nurses making dark jokes in hospitals, people laughing at funerals, not because they don't care, but because caring too much without release would break them. That's what humor is. It's release. It's that small breath between heartbreaks that lets you keep going. We all pretend like being strong means keeping a straight face. But maybe strength isn't about pretending to be fine. Maybe strength is being able to find a reason to smile in the middle of chaos. To take the same pain that tried to silence you and turn it into something that makes others feel lighter, that's not detachment, that's bravery. Because making people laugh about something that broke you, that takes courage, it means you've turned your pain into something that serves a purpose. You've made art out of it. The truth is, laughter doesn't erase tragedy, it reframes it. It gives you space to breathe around it. When you can joke about your pain, it means you've started to see it differently. It's like holding a photograph that used to make you cry, and suddenly you can look at it and smile. The pain is still there, but it's changed shape. It's softened. It's become something you can live with instead of something that defines you. There's something healing about sharing that with others too. When you tell your story, the real one, the messy one, and you manage to make people laugh, you're giving them permission to see their own pain differently. You're saying, look, it hurts, but it doesn't have to own you. That kind of laughter doesn't just entertain, it connects. It's one of the few things that reminds us we're not alone in the mess. You ever meet someone who's been through something heavy, and they've still got that light in their eyes? They've got that humor that cuts right through the sadness. You can tell they've seen some dark places, but instead of getting bitter, they've decided to see the joke in it all. That's a rare kind of strength, not pretending to be fine, but learning to live with your pain and still find something worth laughing about. People will sometimes say, you shouldn't joke about that, it's too serious. But the truth is, the most serious things are the ones we should joke about, not to make fun of them, but to take away their power. Humor doesn't disrespect pain, it disarms it. It takes what's heavy and makes it bearable, even for just a minute. That minute matters. That minute can be the difference between feeling crushed and feeling human again. And honestly, some of the darkest moments in life are so absurd that they practically ask for a laugh. Like when you're crying so hard, you start hiccuping, or when something goes wrong at the worst possible time. It's tragic, but it's also ridiculous. You realize how fragile and strange this whole thing is. That realization, that weird mixture of sadness and laughter, that's the most honest thing there is, because that's life, a contradiction that somehow keeps moving. Pain doesn't just teach you how to laugh, it teaches you what laughter really means. When you've been hurt deeply and you still find the energy to laugh, it's not surface level anymore. It's not polite laughter or social laughter. It's the kind that comes from somewhere deep, where you faced the worst and decided to choose joy anyway. That kind of laughter has weight. It has meaning. It's the sound of resilience. And maybe that's the point, that laughter through pain isn't a way to hide, it's a way to heal. You're not minimizing what happened, you're making peace with it. You're saying, yeah, it hurt, but it's not all I am. Pain can harden people, make them bitter, close them off, but laughter, real laughter, keeps you open. It reminds you that there's still life left in you, that you're still capable of feeling lightness even after everything. It's strange how the things that hurt us most often become the stories we tell later, and those stories, when told with humor, have power. You might tell someone about the worst moment of your life, and by the end, you're both laughing. And in that laughter, something happens. The pain loses its edge. It becomes part of your history instead of your prison. That's not indifference, that's transformation. You've turned your suffering into something that connects instead of isolates. The beauty of it is that laughter is completely honest. You can fake a smile, but you can't fake a real laugh. It bursts out of you. It's raw, involuntary, pure. When you can laugh at what hurt you, that's your body's way of saying, we survived this. It's a declaration of life. You don't laugh because it's funny, you laugh because you made it. And yes, not everyone will understand it. Some people will think you're making light of something serious, but that's okay. They don't have to understand, because you're not laughing to make them comfortable. You're laughing to remind yourself that you're still alive, still capable of joy, still in control of your story. That's not cruelty, that's freedom. Pain wants to make you quiet. It wants you to carry it like a secret. But when you laugh loudly, unapologetically, you're breaking that silence. You're saying you didn't win. And maybe that's what being alive really is, finding the courage to laugh when the world gives you every reason not to. Because laughter doesn't mean the pain's gone. It just means you're stronger than it. And in the end, maybe that's all we can do. Take the pain, twist it, and find the humor in it. Not to erase what happened, but to reclaim it. To remind ourselves that even when life hurts, it's still a story worth telling. And if we can laugh at it, even just once, then maybe we've already won. It's strange how the worst moments of your life eventually become the stories you tell. The kind you share years later when you're sitting with someone laughing about how awful it was. In the moment, it feels like the end of the world, like nothing good could ever come out of it, but somehow, with enough time, that same pain turns into something you can talk about, even laugh about. It's almost like life has this twisted sense of humor. The moments that break you down are the same ones that make you interesting later. The best jokes, the most honest truths, they're never born out of comfort. Nobody tells a story that starts with everything was perfect and nothing went wrong. There's no punchline in that. The punchline comes after the fall, after the mistake, after the heartbreak. It comes from the places you thought you'd never recover from. The truth is, tragedy gives birth to perspective. Pain gives you depth. It forces you to see things differently, to look at life with a slightly tilted, almost sarcastic wisdom. You stop taking yourself too seriously because you realize how fragile it all is. You know when something terrible happens and at first it's unbearable? You're sitting in that heavy silence, your stomach sinking, your chest tight, thinking, this is it. This is the worst thing that's ever happened. But give it time. The moment you can talk about it, really talk about it, you'll start finding these tiny, ridiculous details that suddenly feel hilarious. Like how you were crying in your car, but your favorite sad song was too dramatic, so you skipped it. Or how you tried to give a serious speech through tears and hiccuped halfway. Life is cruel, but it's also absurd, and that absurdity saves us. Pain sharpens your vision. It makes you notice things you would have ignored before. When everything falls apart, you start seeing the cracks in everyone else too. You realize that everyone's pretending, that everyone's struggling in some way, and that's when empathy sneaks in. You start understanding people better, not from pity, but from recognition. Because you've been there, you've felt that heaviness. And when you can take your pain and turn it into something that makes people laugh, you're doing more than making jokes. You're giving them permission to breathe again. You're showing them it's okay to laugh at the mess. The beauty of humor born from tragedy is that it's honest. It doesn't try to make life look prettier than it is. It's not about pretending the pain didn't happen. It's about saying, yeah, it happened and it was awful, but look at how ridiculous it also was. Because that's what life is, awful and ridiculous, painful and funny all at once. The human experience is a weird, clumsy dance between despair and laughter. You cry one minute, you laugh the next, and somehow both are equally true. You'll learn that the best humor isn't forced. It comes naturally when you've lived enough to see that nothing makes sense. The things you used to worry about, the small embarrassments, the mistakes, the moments you thought you'd never recover from, they start to seem laughable when you realize how short life really is. You stop caring so much about being perfect and start embracing how ridiculous you are. Because everyone's ridiculous, everyone's messed up, everyone's doing their best not to fall apart. And that's what makes life both sad and funny. We're all just trying to figure it out, failing constantly and pretending we're not. The worst days give you the best material, not just for jokes, but for growth. They teach you timing. They teach you humility. They teach you how to find light in places where there shouldn't be any. When everything's going well, you don't think too deeply about it. You just move along, unaware. But when something breaks, when you're forced to sit in that pain, your whole perspective changes. You start paying attention to the small, quiet details, the way someone holds your hand, the way you manage to smile despite everything, the way the world keeps moving even when you can't. And in those little details, you find meaning, you find humor. Sometimes you'll tell a story about something painful that happened, and people will laugh, but they'll also feel it. They'll recognize themselves in it. That's when you know it's real. The best jokes aren't about mocking life, they're about revealing it. You're not just trying to make people laugh, you're trying to make them see the truth hidden in the laughter. You're taking your own pain and shaping it into something others can hold without fear. And when they laugh, it's not just entertainment, it's connection, it's release. You ever notice how laughter feels different when it comes after pain? It's deeper. It's richer. It comes from somewhere that's been cracked open. It's not the kind of laughter you get from something silly. It's the kind that feels like relief, like your body remembering what joy feels like. That's the laughter that matters. That's the kind that rebuilds you. And here's the thing, tragedy doesn't just create humor. It teaches gratitude. Once you've been through something hard, the small good things start to feel huge. You laugh easier, you love deeper, and you stop sweating the small stuff. You start to see how fragile and beautiful it all is, how laughter itself is a kind of defiance, because every time you laugh, you're proving that life didn't win. The pain didn't erase your spirit. It tried, but you found your way back through humor. There's this strange beauty in realizing that everything you've survived is also everything that's made you interesting. If you'd never fallen apart, you'd never have learned what it means to rebuild. If you'd never failed, you'd never have learned to laugh at yourself. And that's where real confidence comes from. Not from having it all figured out, but from knowing that even when it all goes wrong, you can still find a way to smile. You can still tell the story. That's what storytelling really is. Turning your pain into something worth sharing. Taking what was once unbearable and making it bearable by turning it into art or laughter or both. You take the tragedy that once silenced you and give it a voice, one that can make others laugh and feel less alone. Because if you can laugh about it, you can talk about it. And if you can talk about it, you can heal from it. Some of the most powerful laughter in the world happens in rooms full of people who've been through hell. They get it. They know that laughing doesn't mean you're over it. It just means you're still here. It means you've decided not to let the darkness have the final word. You can cry about what happened, sure. But if you can laugh about it too, that's when you know you've turned the corner. That's when you've taken your pain and made it yours again. The best jokes come from the worst days because those are the days that strip you down to your truth. They make you honest. They make you vulnerable. They make you human. And people don't connect with perfection. They connect with honesty. The raw, ugly, beautiful honesty of someone who's been through something and can still find light in it. That's what laughter is, light. It's the flicker that keeps us going when the world feels too heavy. So when life hurts, and it always will, don't waste it. Pay attention. Collect the moments. Someday, you'll look back, and it'll make sense in the most ridiculous, bittersweet way. You'll tell the story, people will laugh, and you'll realize that what once broke you became the thing that brought others comfort. That's the secret gift of pain. It turns into wisdom if you let it, and that wisdom, when shared with laughter, heals everyone who hears it. And maybe that's what life is all about. Not avoiding the bad days, but learning how to turn them into stories worth telling. Because the worst days will always come, but if you can still find something to laugh about, then they'll never win.